Hello all, welcome back to Quick Excel. Today we're going to be going over VLOOKUP, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So VLOOKUP you would use when you have information in a separate table that you want to bring in. So in this case we've got the order ID, we got the customer ID, we got the region, but we want to bring in the customer name. And we have that information in a separate table linked to the customer ID. So then you just use a VLOOKUP. You go in there, enter VLOOKUP. Your lookup value is the value that's common between both tables, so that would be the customer ID. Go ahead and select this whole table here. Do that by doing Control-Shift over, Control-Shift down. And then I'm going to show you a common mistake. If we just leave it like that, and then column index, so here we have first column, second column has the data that we want, so we put in 2. And then true false, I'm going to show you what that means later on, and then we enter it. So now if we fill this down, you're going to see that we start getting NAs. And the reason is because when we don't lock the cells, the table moves down as we also fill down. So that's one of the most common mistakes, and the way to rectify that is to lock the cells. If you press F4 when you enter it, it will give you that absolute lock. And now when we fill it down, it'll keep the table where it is as we fill down, and you won't get that error. Now the other thing is, in some cases, you might be looking up across 2 dimensions. So you might, for salesperson, maybe it's defined by both the customer ID and the region. So in this case, in your lookup table, you can create a unique identifier first by making a new column and concatenating the 2 strings that define it. So you can see concatenate just takes the 2 strings and puts them together. So we've got a unique key here now. And now if we do the VLOOKUP across 2 fields, so we'll do basically the same thing with our main table here. We'll use concatenate on customer ID in region. And then again, we're going to select the table here. We're going to lock those cells, and then this is the first column. Second column has the data we want, so we're going to select 2, and we're going to choose false. And if we fill that down, we can see we've added the salesperson information now. So what happens if it's not able to find the customer in the table? So what if we go ahead here and delete this person, this customer? You'll see that you'll get an error. So in some cases it might be fine, you're not expecting it to be in your lookup table and you just want to return a blank cell. In that case, you can put your VLOOKUP inside if error, and then as a second argument, this is what it will return if there is an error. You can put in 2 quotation marks, which is an empty string. And in that case, it will return blank if it doesn't find it in your lookup table. The other thing is, in your lookup table, the column that you're looking up has to be a unique key. For instance, let's insert a row. So for customer Steve O'Donnell, so this customer ID, let's say we have this customer ID twice in our table, and the first time it means Steve O'Donnell, and the second one it means Jim O'Neill. You'll see that the VLOOKUP always returns the first value, so you want to make sure that you have a unique key in your lookup value, because otherwise you might be getting wrong data. If something is defined as 2 different things, your VLOOKUP is always going to return the first one. And then the last thing is, so I talked about that last argument and I said we'd cover it later. Later is right now. So let's say we have a table like this. In this table we have income and tax rate. So at 0 to 50,000, tax rate is 0. These aren't real numbers, I just made them up. So 50,000 to 100,000, tax rate is 10%. 50 to 100,000 to 500,000, the tax rate is 25%, and 500,000 and above, it's 35%. So how will we use the lookup in that case? And that's where the last argument comes in. So before we were looking at exact matches, it was looking for the exact thing that we put into the lookup value. In this case, we're going to look up so this income value. So table array, we're going to select this and lock it with the F4 key. And then column index, again, this is the first row. This is the second row, which is the data we're looking for. So we're going to select 2. And in this case, we're going to do true, the approximate match. And you're going to see what happens. So there's no 10,000 in our data table. But what this VLOOKUP does when you select true, it looks for the closest match. It looks for the match right before that value. So it goes 10,000. It goes, okay, we've got a 0. That's what this is. And then it goes, oh, the next value is 50,000. Okay, I will return the value for 10,000 for the 0. And then 30,000 is going to be the same thing because it's under 50,000. And then once we get to 50,000, it goes, okay, now we'll return 10%. And at 20,000, it goes, okay, I got to 100,000, then 500,000 is too large, so I'm going to do the 100,000. And then anything over 500,000 is going to return this value. So what you need to do in this table, which is critical, is you need to sort the data. Otherwise, it won't return it correctly. Because if I have this sorted wrong, let's just move the order here, it's going to start returning different values. So you see, in this case, the 50,000 one is not going to return 10% because it's going to look at these values in order and it's going to say, these values are all less than 100,000, so I'm going to return the cell above 100,000. So if you're going to use this kind of case, you have to sort them. Anyways, I'll sort that later. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video and learned something, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much.